Hello, everybody. Today we are going to review the movie America, the motion picture. This just came up on Netflix recently, and I kind of had to watch it just because I knew it was going to be uh, mostly comedic, right? So it actually takes time, or takes time, takes place during the War of Attrition, or I guess that's the final battle scene. Was the War of Attrition. So it actually starts out with Abe Lincoln and George Washington. It seems that they're best friends. They've grown up together. Um, they've grown up together through. Sorry, I don't know what just happened there. What was I just about to say? Yes, they grew up together. Is what I was trying to say there. I don't know why they. I don't know what I was trying to say before that, but they grew up together. They've been best friends their whole lives. And we have the signing of the Declaration of Independence actually at the very beginning of the movie, which is a big piece of history, I would say. And then Benedict Arnold comes in and kills them all because he's ended up joining the Brits, or the British, or the Redcoats, as they were called back then. So he actually goes and tells Abe and George Washington. I guess I could just say Lincoln and Washington. He goes and tells Lincoln and Washington that he's basically double crossing them, and then he turns into a werewolf and kills Abe. And Abe tries to warn George that there's something behind him, but he doesn't know what. So obviously George becomes vengeful, trying to definitely save the life of his friend, which goes not so well for him because, and oh God, anyway, he ends up trying to get back at Benedict Arnold, but isn't able to. Benedict Arnold is able to get away, and he has these like wicked ass like chainsaw blades that come out kind of like the Assassin's Creed style. There was a lot of different films just kind of meshed into this one throughout. So I think maybe that was kind of supposed to be the point. Was it's like Assassin's Creed, but instead of regular like just blades, it's chainsaw blades, which was kind of definitely awesome for sure. And so, before I get too much further into the story, I actually wanted to say who the actors were doing the voices. So we have Channing Tatum doing George Washington, which I was actually shocked about because I wouldn't have even recognized. Jason, is it Mantzoukas? Playing Samuel Adams. He's also been in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He also voices a character in Big Mouth. We have Olivia Munn playing Thomas Edison, so that was actually one of the very interesting points in the film. Bobby Monahan, I believe is his name, playing Paul Revere. Judy Greer played Martha Washington, so George Washington's wife. Will Forte played Abraham Lincoln. Raoul Max Trujillo? It could be either or. Played Geronimo. Killer Mike played the blacksmith. Simon Pegg played King James. King James was the name of the king, right? Forgot Andy Samberg played Benedict Arnold, which I didn't even know either. So I think Channing Tatum and Andy Samberg were the two voices that really threw me off. And Carlos Alarzquai. Oh my God. I don't know if I'm even saying that correctly. Played the horse Clyde, which was Paul Revere's Paul Revere's horse. So, oh my God. So here we go. So George Washington has to put together this team of people to obviously get back, um, obviously take revenge against the Brits because taxes is so high due to the fact that the Brits have come over and um, basically taken over the land, right? So now he's trying to put together a team. He knows that the Declaration of Independence has been destroyed. So I think the first person he actually meets up with is this Samuel Adams character. And we all know Samuel Adams is is it a beer or a liquor? I don't know how. I guess basically it was a beer. I think Samuel Adams is just a beer, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so anyway, there's just a whole bunch of jokes in this film. So basically, Samuel Adams is like in a fraternity for some reason with all of his frat brothers, and all they do is drink and blow up stuff, and it's just absolutely funny. But at the beginning of the movie, Benedict Arnold comes in and kills all the Americans that have just signed the Declaration of Independence, and then goes outside the building and blows it up and says, "Declarate this," and it's just right from the beginning of the film. You know it's going to be absolutely hilarious. So now we have George Washington and Samuel Adams teamed up. And then they go and find Paul Revere, who is... I'm not sure who Paul Revere was. Was he... I don't know, but in this film he's in armor, and he seems a little bit... I don't want to say, like... He seems a little bit slower than the other two of them, that's for sure. And he talks about not having very many friends, and how he has horse friends, but of course he had real human friends. He wasn't actually raised by horses. Just, oh, right from that, I was killing myself laughing during that scene. So then, obviously, we know Thomas Edison was the one who... Was he the one who invented electricity, or the... God, I'm trying to think. Or the light bulb. Jesus. I don't even know if either of those is correct, actually. So we go to find Thomas Edison now, after the three of them have teamed up together, and they find out that Thomas Edison is actually a woman, which they are shocked about. And Samuel Adams is not only racist, but he's very sexist. And Thomas Edison is Asian, so obviously came from another country, just like the rest of them. Just like, oh my God. So now the four of them are all teamed up. And I believe at this point that... Oh yes, and I forgot about Geronimo. They also team up with this guy named Geronimo. Now, why was he actually part of the team? I can't remember what was his purpose in the team, actually. I'm trying to think now why they got him to join. Oh, right, because he was the tracker. That's correct. Geronimo was the person who tracked down the Brits for them, actually. And obviously, while they were looking for Benedict Arnold, too. So he was tracking Benedict Arnold down, because I guess... Right, that's right, because George Washington had his handkerchief. Right, okay. So they end up going to this bar or nightclub named Vietnam. They end up actually killing all the Brits inside there, but I think... I'm pretty sure Benedict Arnold gets away again, and then they, at one point, blow up the Titanic, but they just say it hit an iceberg. Oh my God, just pretending like they weren't even there right when that all went down. And then the ending scene, where they finally are able to finally take down Benedict Arnold. Benedict Arnold actually kills King James, which I could have seen coming, just because I figured he'd wanted all whatever power he could have for himself. And the end scene was such a mashup of movies. Now, obviously, I don't want to ruin all the jokes, because there was so many of them, and I can't remember all of them, but it was just absolutely, like, hilarity from the beginning to the end. And I mean, although it was based on true events, all of this was clearly fictitious. And it is an animated movie, just so everybody is aware. There are no it isn't live action, it is animated, and I think that makes it even better because then they could go, above and beyond with the gore and stuff that was in this movie for sure. I don't know if this was rated R or not. I'd have to go back and look now on Netflix, but so anyway, the very end scene, the battle scene, is just crazy. So they have George Washington playing Freebird by Leonard Skinner, and that basically calls all the Americans to arms, I guess. And then he goes out and buys these guns the night before. He actually cracks a code to what the address was and where to find it. And then at the end scene is just a whole mashup. Like there's Star Wars, Lord of the Rings mixed in there. There's Avengers themed stuff in there too. It's just a whole RoboCop is there, like half man, half horse. What else was in there? Oh my God, there was so much stuff. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, there was like a Star Wars reference at the very end of the movie too. There's just so much in this movie that I might have even missed all of it just because I'd have to go back and watch it all again. But it was just, it was just a very big mashup of movies at the very end. There was probably a couple other ones because I'm not sure what the soccer ball was supposed to represent, but there was a man-eating soccer ball in there and a couple other things that I can't quite remember. But anyhow, they are able to kill Benedict Arnold at the very end of the film due to the fact that they make this silver bullet. And obviously we know that werewolves die due to silver bullets. So I guess Benedict Arnold's plan was to turn everybody British. Not really sure why, but so he bakes, they create this, him and King James created like this huge weather controlling device that's supposed to make it rain and turn everybody British because it's supposed to be filled with green tea. But Thomas Edison is actually able to change it thanks to Samuel L. Adams. She puts his beer in this machine and shoots it to change the weather from tea to beer because they're the exact opposite thing. So everybody ends up turning American. And then at the end of the movie, they blow up the monument that the Brits had put up and then obviously put up the George Washington monument. And then we already know that the Abraham Lincoln statue is right across from him. So they're looking at one another's monuments, I guess, was actually this supposed to be this point of that, I suppose. Because obviously they were, well, at least in this movie, they were best friends. I don't know if they were actually best friends in real life. I suppose that's just part of history, maybe kind of guessing that they probably were. I'm not sure where that part actually came from. But anyhow, so they do win the War of Attrition, and this is in 1776. So now they are true free Americans, and then there's this big, huge argument at the end between the the natives and the other people, and then there's a whole bunch, there's just an eclectic mix of stuff at the very end of all these arguments starting, and then people causing violence in the crowd and stuff like that. So George Washington thinks that he's maybe overdone it. Doesn't really know how to go back now. It was just funny at the very end. And Abraham Lincoln's ghost does give George back the Declaration of Independence all taped up. I think originally they just rewrote it, didn't they? I'm not sure exactly, but couldn't tell you. But anyhow, I gave this movie a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a really good movie. Lots of jokes, lots of action, actually. And, I mean, they did stick to the main story of what actual history was. But they just threw a whole bunch of jokes in there. And making it animated, I think, made it a whole lot better, is what I'm trying to say. Can't talk today. So anyhow, I think that's pretty much it. 9 out of 10 for this film. Don't really have anything bad to say about it. I would say definitely go watch it. It was just like, it was just basically watching like a team of badass Americans just kick ass during the entire film. Is basically what it was. So whoever made this, I'm assuming they are American too, because they wanted to make the characters look as like awesome as they possibly could, right? Like America, like that kind of stuff, you know. And they did a very good job of that, for sure. And obviously, it was. I don't know. I feel like this is just kind of an interesting way to teach history because I mean, the storyline is true. It's just what was happening in this movie was obviously mostly fictitious, like being a werewolf and silver bullets and AT&T walkers from Star Wars and basically George Washington was just like the leader of the Avengers in this movie. It was kind of funny. But anyhow, yeah. As always, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this film if you have seen it. If not, I would say it's definitely go worth the watch. Boo. Definitely worth the watch, if you haven't seen it yet. And because I'm, talking in circles now, I feel like, and I sometimes can't speak in this video for whatever reason. It's just been one of those days, I guess, in front of the camera. Thank God this is my first video, so let's see how the rest of them goes. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.